So if any of you are comfortable saying, where you're calling in from in a very general sense, which industry you're in, that would be interesting, I think, for all the participants to get a feeling for who's the audience of this session. Elemér and I are here in Hungary, and one of us is, you have to guess, one of us is remote and one of us is in the office.
Yeah, based on the background image, I don't know.
Okay, well, I think we're 2 minutes past the top of the hour, so we should really respect people's time and consider kicking this session off. So let me move to the first slide. And thank you very much for attending, everyone. We're going to have a session today, more of an introductory session today on contact centers. So kind of a contact center 101, providing some tips in what you might need to consider if you're considering purchasing a contact center or upgrading a contact center or changing it or taking a different direction. Now, before I start, I should say that Elemér and myself, we work for VCC Live. So just to be transparent, we do work for VCC Live. But the point of this session is to share with you some more industry generic type information. But I just want to be transparent up front with you all. So we're going to be talking about some tips on this. And let's start off with a bit of agenda. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover what you should be considering if you're looking at buying some new contact center software, or maybe you don't even have a contact center. So that's also very interesting. Should you have a contact center? Is it the right thing for you? What should you consider if you're going to be taking that road? If you've got a solution today, what might be some things to consider if you're going to switch? Why would it be good for you? Well, why, in a business sense, why would that be suitable for you and advantageous to you? Some capabilities that you might want to consider. We can't cover everything, but we'll highlight, Elemér and I will highlight quite a few things. And we'll also touch upon inbound and outbound, or very likely the blending of the two of those things. So that's to give you a feeling for what we're going to cover here today. But before I go any further, we really shouldn't be remiss here and not introduce ourselves. So forgive me, I'll say first, my name's Gavin Stewart. I'm a channel sales manager here in VCC Live. I've been in this industry for more than 20 years, worked for vendors, so worked for on-premise vendors for a lot of that time, and in recent years worked in the cloud space. So that's my background. And Elemér, please.
Yes, welcome everybody. So today I'm here instead of Daniel, but believe me, I brought some interesting contents for you. My name is Elemér, quite rare name. I'm sure if you know an Elemér, it's me, or 50% chance I have. And I work in the industry as well for 20 plus years. At VCC, I'm here for 10 plus, and I'm an enterprise solution consultant. So whenever it's about rolling out a new contact center, implementing new technologies, then you can count on solutions at my end, from my end. And yeah, before VCC Live, I was at BPOs, so outsourced contact center. I worked as supervisor. I was an agent as well in the past, so I know all the details that what's happening in the contact center industry. But before we roll out this session, I'm here and I saw that I will bring you a present. So if you stay until the end of the session, which will be a 45 minutes long, then you will have the chance to win a car. Now, what do you think about that? Okay, I'm sorry, it was just a joke. There's a matchbox here, so it's not a real car. On the other hand, I have actually even better surprise for you. My little son would like the matchbooks better, but my daughter already would like the second one because she likes to read and learn. And at the end of the event, you will have the option to reach our great contents about contact center security. So that's a checklist which helps you to ensure that your solution is 100% safe. And also you will have option to download a one-pager contact center guide about the contents that we are going to speak today. So I believe this is really good. And at the end, we will share all the details how you can reach that content.
Okay, so a bit of a context for this. So I think this is, we can maybe all agree, hopefully we can all agree on this. Customer experience is key. Customer experience is the vital aspect of all of this, because those delighted customers will buy more if that's the kind of part of the contact center space you're in, or you'll have greater success in your collections or telesales. So customer experience is really, really important here. And consider if your end customer has a better experience with your competitor, well, you at least want to have a comparable experience to your own competitors. So customers experience is the real motivating factor behind all of this. Now, one of the things to consider is churn. So that could be churn, let's say, first of all, maybe most importantly, churn in the actual end customers you're doing business with. It's an expensive exercise for you to get new customers, and it's much better in general if you can retain those end customers and have a good relationship on an ongoing basis. That's a much cheaper exercise than having to acquire new customers. So it's to your advantage to reduce that customer churn. Now, the other side to this churn coin is, what about your employee churn or your agent churn? These are expensive resources. The most expensive resource in the contact center is the people. So you want to retain those highly qualified, experienced agents. You don't want them to leave. It's going to take you time to get them trained back up again. And they're maybe the ones that are generating the most, the best, the quickest first call resolution, or whatever your metric is that you're most interested in. Your experienced agents are doing that. So you don't want to have churn there. We're going to touch upon automation. It leads us into AI. That's great because that's productivity to you and agent satisfaction. So we'll talk about that later on. And cost savings. So there are cost savings to be had here. So let's just say a very high level example. Let's say you're making manual outbound calls and you're doing it to a reasonably large number of end customers. That manual process is not the most effective way of your agent's time. So if you were to use some sort of automated fashion of doing that, you will have a better use of your agent's time, thus saving you costs if you look at it in that manner. And then the final point here is digital journey. So have you considered this from a strategic point of view for your business? The contact center is one part of that. It's a bigger story. You know, there's other business applications, other parts of your business that are really important. But have you considered that digital journey, and how does the contact center fit into that strategic vision that you have for your business? So we're going to look at this first of all in kind of two angles. So we're going to say you're buying contact center software for the first time. You don't have anything at all already. So some of the things to consider. Well, where do you have the volume of customer interactions? Might be calls, might be emails, might be web interactions, but do you have volume of customer interactions that would warrant a contact center? So it could well be calls, or it could be calls and emails, or it could be a combination. That's what I'm trying to drive at. Can you measure it? Do you know what you're actually doing? Can you relate one thing to another? Can you kind of bring that data together, the email, the web, the voice calls? Can you bring that all together? Can you differentiate the experience for your high value customers? Maybe you have some segmentation in your customer base. and those certain customers bring you more value, more sales, whatever it might be, and you want to differentiate give them a better experience or a different experience. And finally, last point on this is, what would a provably better customer experience mean for your business? I'm sure it means something positive. So if you can provably show that you've improved that customer experience, you've got metrics to do it. What does that mean? It means something positive for your business. Now, on the other side, the right-hand side of this slide. So, what is your vision? What are you doing for those customers in terms of other channels? So you might want to offer different channels. You have a younger age group and you want to offer it. Still, voice is important. Of course, voice is important. But what other channels do you want to combine with it? As I mentioned, how does it fit into your own business digital strategy? You might have inbound calls for customer service. What about the outbound aspect? What about the blended aspect? We'll cover automation later on. That's a really important productivity enhancements there. Remote capabilities, I would say, and Elemér is going to cover this later on. Remote capabilities are table stakes now in the contact center space for many, many contact centers. And let's consider, or let's think it through. Where are those limiting factors in your current solution? Like, it might be you've got a hunt group or a queue on an older PBX, and you've got a simple IVR. What are you going to go to next that's improved the business for you?
Yes, thank you very much, Gavin, for showing these two different parts. So buying a contact center or switching to another tool. And let's discuss the first part first, buying a new contact center for the first time. I mentioned I'm a solution consultant, so whenever you need discussions, then you can turn to me, but who I can turn to. So I turn to Captain Obvious and ask the question that, so when I look for a contact center software, then what aspects I should check? And then the answer is, well, it's quite good. So sure, it should. The main message is that I should select and choose according to my needs. That's a great answer. But if we dig into that deeper, then we need to understand that what these needs can be, so that this contact center tool is a personal fit for you. Just quickly about the channels. So it's again important that how do you communicate with your customers? Obviously, it can be, phone, email, chat, live chat, social media, SMS, text message, video call, chatbot. So various channels are available for the communication. Also, you need to define primary channels of your organization uses for customer communication. There are digital channels like receive communication via website, email, mobile app, social media, traditional channels that we already talked about, a little, phone, and also emerging channels that you can use, messaging apps like WhatsApp, Messenger. This can be important. Also, the way of the communication, what I mean is inbound or outbound. Inbound, if you think about, then it can be customer service. It's great for support inquiries, for order processing. And outbound communication is value for sales, follow-up, service, marketing campaigns. So again, you can decide which direction you use during communication, or you can use blended, so both. At the same time, your agents can log in to a tool where they can handle outbound telesales, and at the same time, they can answer inbound calls, which can be again sales, or it can be customer service. So you should think about that. What are your requirements and what you would like to cover? Sometimes there are some pain points that you need to solve. So there are some key challenges that you may have with your customer interactions. What I mean here is that you want to have better response time. You need consistency. What I mean that you provide uniform information across different channels. You may need technology integration. We will talk about that later on with Gavin about CRM systems. And also scalability is important. So whether your system will be capable of handling increased volumes, during peak times. And scalability is really important that whenever you are able to handle such bigger volumes, then it is coming without any performance issues. That's also important. And last but not least, the benefits of remote access we will talk about later, but really some points here to mention is that flexibility comes here because you enable your agents to work from different locations. And also you can count on business continuity so that you ensure operations that can continue during some kind of disruptions. And also you can count on the security of the tool. And in the remote access, you should also think about a secure system that is secure when the agents are using that, and also secure in a way when this system communicates with other tools. We will go a bit detailed in that, and also, as I mentioned before, you will have a really great security checklist as well. Okay, and about channels, so I mentioned already that phone calls is important, and I just give you one hint here that we check some studies, and actually 59% of the customers, they still prefer over the phone communication than instead of email or SMS. So this is something that, again, good to keep in mind. But there are various methods, so you can use the further channels as well. And also you need to keep in mind that what your audience rely on when we talk about channels. So the communication that they prefer and your target audience prefers. Obviously, you can do demographic analysis, like, for example, such as age, location, other preferences. But again, this 59% value is interesting. So just keep it in mind that call is still important. And there are other things that you can have a decision on, is that you decide the number of communication options. There are many, and obviously you can go with different approaches, like balanced approach, that you offer multiple channels, or you can have some core channels, maybe core, and then focus on this and on that effective channel. And also you have to decide some kind of primary communication channel. And again, it can come from your audience, or also analyzing your costs and effectiveness and response time requirements. One more really important part is that you have all this data and all these thoughts and tips, but it's really important, like in everywhere in business, that your decision is data-driven when you select, for example, the proper communication channels. And you can further count on industry reports, so you can check that, you can check the trends and understand them. You can also find competitor analysis. There are websites where you can compare providers and also about the communication. And one other important part is that you need to establish some KPIs, key performance indicators. Then later on, you can measure the effectiveness of your selected channels. And security is important, we all know. And here I give the word to Gavin to
Yes, Elemér,
share some insights.
Security is certainly very important indeed in the contact center. And we have prepared a checklist for you. And we're going to share that with you on the next slide, a method to get that. So get prepared. There's a QR code on the next slide. All right, so security, what would it mean, a breach of your security? It could have a devastating impact on your business and your reputation. So there could be compliance implications. We're handling, in some contact centers, they're handling very sensitive end customer information. So the privacy and the regulations around that or can be quite strict, I suppose. But anyway, it's a very serious matter to be considered. So we prepared this checklist, and it has an additional link to other information that will be helpful. A few things, this is not exhaustive, but just a few things to think of. Are you implementing access controls? People have access to what they're supposed to, not more than what they're supposed to. Have you thought through the authentication methods? Are you using single sign-on? Are you using two factors? What about the encryption of that data? Data at rest. Voice recordings could be very sensitive information in voice recordings. Is data at rest encrypted properly? Data in transit, is that also encrypted? What are you doing within your contact center to audit and monitor it? What is your vendor doing? They should share some information with you too. When you're first implementing the solution, no doubt your partner or your vendor will help you to train your staff on security best practices. But that should also be an ongoing process to keep everybody up to speed. And finally, don't let endpoint security, don't let an unpatched laptop be a weak link in your business, or affect your contact center, because that could affect your very business. So as I said, we've created this security checklist, not specific to any particular vendor, but kind of contact center wide. So you can scan this QR code and get access to it. And it does have a link to additional information. It's not a long, I think it's only a single pager, but it has links to additional information that will assist you in this task and give you some points to think about. So I've given you some time to scan that code. If you're having any difficulties with the QR code here, don't worry. Write something in the comments, and one of my colleagues will assist you via the comments as well. So that's a very valuable checklist for you. So take advantage of that. Now let's turn to the cloud versus on-premise story. So, and I think the industry today, it's clear. Hopefully, we'd all agree on this. The trend is towards cloud-based solutions. The broad industry trend. So you're consuming a service. So a cloud-based contact center is a service that you're going to consume in a manner. Now, this is a big subject, and we did a webinar, and we have a blog post on that. So if you want to dig into it, no problem. Seek out that webinar, and we go into it in much more detail. But a few things to think about here. So why is a large number of customers moving to the cloud? Well, they're doing it, I think, for the top row. That's the most important thing, and the why. So because it offers them productivity, flexibility, and efficiency enhancements. So it allows you greater flexibility. It's inherent in a cloud solution, the remote capabilities. That's just comes with the cloud solution. Or you need to have branch office. That's all inherent in it. Productivity enhancements. Lots of these cloud vendors have out-of-the-box integrations into the main business applications used by contact center customers. So it's straightforward to get those business applications integrated. Efficiency. You want to right size this. You want to have the right number of agents for the right time. Maybe you need more agents at Christmas and less in January. You can flexibility to increase, flexibility to decrease. Cost transparency. You're paying for what you're using, and you're paying for it in an OpEx model. This is a service that you're consuming. So you don't have those data centers and the people. You're purchasing a contact center as a service. And finally, I just highlight before I leave this particular graphic, you have an evergreen solution in a cloud contact center. It's a solution that's being improved. As new features are added, you're going to be getting them. You're always going to be getting, you don't have that hurdle of having to upgrade an on-premise solution, for example. So the solution is evergreen. Always the latest capabilities are available to you, whether you choose to use them or not. So,
Yeah.
Elemér.
Yeah, thank you, Gavin. It was really interesting, and really some of the points, it was like really my last week and last month, because there were really such implementations. So it was interesting to hear. And yeah, before that, I asked Captain Obvious help with one of the slides. Now I ask your help because it's Word Emoji Day, ladies and gentlemen. So please, we will check further insights about inbound and outbound activity. But with which one should we start? So please press thumbs up if we should start with inbound and this insights. Emoji if you would like to hear about outbound, and I will check the results in the meantime. Yes, the votes are coming. Thank you very much. It's really kind of you. And we received, yeah, many insights. So, okay, let's do it this way. So we will talk about outbound activities first, and what do we had we prepared for you about outbound activities and why they are important. Well, we already mentioned volumes before. Oh, wow, still some votes are coming. Great. So it just confirms the necessity of outbound activities. Whenever we talk about volumes, obviously you need to have volumes to make great decisions and effective management, and it's important for resource allocation. So first of all, you need to analyze your current volumes per week, per month level, or even per day. And then you should check trends and patterns in that, identify trends, and get ready for seasonal peaks. And then you have capacity planning that is important when we talk about volume. And with this volume, you can plan the data and plan the capacity. And then when you have that data, then you need to, when it's outbound activity, you need to decide which dialing options you want to use. There are many options that you can use. There is preview or manual dialing that allows your agents to, have some pre-work time, and then after that start dialing. There are activities like that. Then there are automated options like Power Dialer, and the one that I really like is Predictive Dialer, because with that, if it's about outbound activity, then you can reach high talk time. What I mean that you can reach 40, 45 minutes per hour talk time per agent, and this is the most variable time of an agent when we talk about outbound calls. Uh, Obviously, call time in such cases is not enough, because if they talk to, for example, voicemails, then it's probably not the best thing to have. You think that they are in call, you check the statistics, and then it shows something different. So then that's where voicemail detection is important, answering machine detection. And it saves everyone. I mean, the customer, you can leave there an automated message, you can send a text message, you can also send an email if you have the contacts, if you are really prepared for all the channels. But also, if you detect it, then your agents can really talk to real customers, and then for example, if it's a telesales activity, then they can sell more. So it's really important to have. Just give you an example, there are countries where, based on the activity, the answering detection is really important, because much of the calls are leading to that result. And we just recently had a project when it was in Mexico, when we reached 95+% detection rate. So, the agents there really talk to real customers, and that's a great thing to have. Also, if you further go to outbound activities, outbound IVR, robocall can help you. IVR, like interactive voice response. How in outbound call? Well, when it's answered, then you can also, get feedback from the customers, and they can press buttons. Or if your system is capable of handling speech to text, then they can also say out loud what they need. And also, just the last point from this list, which we will still discover later on about CRM integration. I want to mention one thing, that you can also count on integrated payments. If your activity is about collecting money at the end, or just start a subscription of a service, then with such telephony payment options, you won't collect only promises at the end of the call, which, maybe based on conversion rate will be a bit lower at the end. But in that time, when the motivation level is so high, then you can also collect the total sum of the amount, for example, for a subscription, which then later on can be a recurring payment. So this is important for outbound capabilities. And we had some votes on inbound, so obviously we will talk about that as well. Regarding inbound, I worked many years in inbound customer services. One of my projects was for 5+ years is Wizz Air customer service, and there it was really essential, to change sometimes the IVR structure. There are some ad hoc things sometimes, and then it's really important that the system that you use should support non-technical stuff to update an IVR. So you don't have to, go to the IT and ask that, okay, 2-3 days later, maybe they can change something in your IVR. You can immediately address any urgent needs this way. Customization is important, and it can go based on your customers' feedback as well, or based on statistics. You can maybe have some parts of your IVR which is never used. And also, whenever you do changes, it's important that you can test it. You should test it before it goes live. And if your system is capable for an internal test, so you don't have to press the release button and go live with the changes, then it's a good thing. Plus, if you want to check how your IVR reacts on the weekend, you don't have to wait until Saturday. You can do it today, on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you can check it. And this is really important, that testing in the system, it saves you time. Again, the aim is here that you become more and more efficient. Okay, and what is also important that we have some, words like SBR, is skill-based routing. It just means that you have agents and they have different skill sets, and obviously some calls you should route to agent A, some to agent B. The better if you can set up groups where you specify that even what languages they can handle. That's a skill as well. And then with that, you can increase first core resolution rate, FCR, and you can also optimize your agent utilization. And last, it's important that you can set up, it's essential to set up KPIs, you mentioned before, key performance indicators. And why? Because on a dashboard, you can show the results and you can track the metrics, and you can also gain further insights into agent performance. And then this data, again, goes to data-driven decisions. So this is something that is essential. Both on outbound and inbound, integration with CRM is something that you should have, and that's why we will talk about that on a later slide.
Okay, so let's turn to part 2, and let's say you have some sort of a call center, a contact center today, and you're considering, is it time to switch to a different one? So maybe you have a PBX and it's got a simple hunt group set up on it, or some sort of queuing, and maybe you've got a straightforward voice-based IVR with key collection and number collection. So perhaps you have something like that, but you're considering it's time to switch to a newer, more modern, more featureful. What's that going to do for you? Well, here's a meme that we're all very familiar with. Everybody's probably seen this. And we've given it a bit of a contact center twist here. But there is a message. So is this new software going to provide you the features that you need? That's the crucial thing here. Is it going to meet your business needs? So one of the things that you should be considering is it going to integrate to your business application? Because that's key to automation. And that automation is going to allow you to improve productivity and perhaps see cost savings. From an agent perspective, it's going to allow them to focus better. This is the so-called context shifting problem, where you have an agent that is having to perpetually switch between tabs or applications, and that constant change of context is rather disconcerting for an agent. It's not the most productive thing. But if we could give them the tools that makes them more productive, let's say we know the number that's calling in, and we're going to pop the appropriate customer detail on the agent screen at the moment. That's going to delight the agent. It's going to speed up the whole process. We're going to make those agents more productive. We can do the same thing in the outbound space. So there are obvious advantages to automation, and that's a real key factor. What are the business applications that you're using? Where can we automate? So I was thinking, first of all, I was thinking, what's the most common example of a business application? And CRM, customer relationship management, the integration to those systems. So that's the HubSpot, the Salesforce.com, that sort of thing, CRM solutions. That's a very common example of integration to a business application. Could be ERP, it could be something specific. But then the thought struck me that maybe there's even more common business application that practically everybody has. We've all got websites. Every business has a website. And that website, is it integrated with your contact center? Firstly, does it bring you any benefits? But let's say maybe you have a web form and you're collecting information from those end customers, and somehow that's a lead for you, or it's a service interaction, or whatever. Let's say it's a sales lead. Well, you could integrate, technically very straightforward, to integrate that web experience with a contact center experience, and take that lead that maybe you've grabbed from the web experience and put that very quickly in front of a contact center agent to call back that end customer, to delight that customer by reacting quickly. And from a business perspective, maybe that gives you a better chance of gaining that business, making a sale to that end customer. So it's a very straightforward business application integration that most people have. So you can think through, what does that mean for you? Another aspect, and Elemér touched upon this, is agents very often have scripts of some sort. In the past, those scripts and data sheets might have been in a folder or a book, or yellow post-it notes around their screen. I think we can do a much better job of that. We can integrate that script and those data sheets into the agent's experience, their interface. But those things have to be easily customizable, like Elemér mentioned before in the IVR section, easily customizable by the contact center people themselves. So not the technical people. You want to be able to do this swiftly, easily, tweak it. When you have a new marketing campaign, a new product, a new service, things change. You want to be able to do that easily and quickly yourself. Now, Elemér talked about payment options. That's an important aspect to consider. Can you collect the payment while you're on the call with the customer, or can you push them into the IVR to collect the payment? Don't lose the opportunity. Notifications. This can be very straightforward or more complicated, like when an agent completes a call, they select a call outcome, a disposition. That disposition, that outcome, can be used as a trigger. And we can use that to, let's say customers made an appointment. So let's send them an email or an SMS with the details of that appointment. Why does that matter? Maybe you're in a business where service no-shows are expensive to you. You want to minimize those service no-shows. Let's tell the appropriate information to the customer. And let's also give them the option or the mechanism to change their appointment or to change whatever details. It's just an example of how these notifications can be used and integrated into the whole process. So you're thinking about automation. Well, you better be sure that the software that you're using or you're going to be using is going to allow you to keep up with all those automation trends that might be. And we're going to come to AI in just a moment to touch upon that subject. So think wisely, think through where you're going, and think what are the things that you want to automate? Where can you see those productivity enhancements? So, right, let's look at at the start here, let's look at some automated processes. These are fairly high level, and Elemér talked about dialers. It's very clear if you went from a purely manual mechanism of making outbound calls in any kind of volume and you move to a predictive dialer, you will see a huge difference in productivity. The talk time differences are enormous, as Elemér told us. So that's an automated process that would make a dramatic difference to you. And you know that's to be considered, perhaps blended in combination with your inbound activities as well. Table stakes now are automatic call distribution and skills-based routing for inbound. So they're rather table stakes. So systems should be offering you those capabilities. If you're having multiple channels, and email is a very common channel from an end customer perspective and from a customer and from a contact center a perspective as well. How can you automate that? Can you automate some form of answers to the customers? Can you automate that in terms of the agent providing them snippets and answers? You can even maybe move into the use of AI there as well. So there are automation options available to you in the email space. Now, self-service options, that's an interesting one. There's significant cost savings there. So what are the repetitive tasks in your business? The things that the agents are just doing over and over again. I'm thinking back many years ago to a customer that had to do, it was IT support for a large base. And the agents were doing enormous amounts of global password resets. And this was a very monotonous, time-consuming exercise. And the customer in the contact center implemented some self-service options, and they were able to take the more standard repetitive tasks and move them to an automated process. Let's say in the IVR or however you want to automate that. So those kinds of things should be thought through, because that is saving agent time. You're not giving them the monotonous high volume tasks. They can deal with the more complex and difficult and valuable tasks, for example, and the agent time is the most expensive thing here in the contact center. So think through what you can automate in terms of self-service, the IVR being one area where you could do it. Another area is the use of AI chatbots. So can you, through a chatbot, serve customers or at least address some of their needs? Maybe you do at first the more straightforward needs. You can address that by chatbots, or you can collect the relevant information from that user and address the simple needs, and then present that in the correct format in front of a real live agent to finish the process if it's more complex. So that's something to be considered. Chatbots are now widely used within the industry. Next aspect I would touch upon is text-to-speech and speech-to-text. This has come on in leaps and bounds. So this is really very good, and a vast range of languages are now supported. So there's a huge range of languages supported for this, and it offers some interesting possibilities. And it kind of related to the next item, the next topic, which is natural language IVR. So we're all familiar with legacy IVRs, interactive voice response units, where you are pressing keys on your keypad to direct that IVR. Maybe the long, complex tree of commands that you have to, that an end customer has to navigate. Well, now there are natural language-based IVRs where you just speak your command to the system, and it will figure out what's the appropriate point in that tree to take you to. So that's an interesting aspect to consider. Voice biometrics, that can be a factor in your authentication of end users. So that's also in use today in many contact centers. Has to be thought through as one of the factors that you can use in authenticating those end customers. Language detection, how could that be used? How would that be interesting? Well, let's say you have a high volume of email and it's in multiple language. It is to your advantage to detect those languages and direct those, segment those to the appropriate groups to answer them. There's no point in sending Spanish-based email to a group of agents that don't speak Spanish. Rather flippant comment, but you know, don't speak the Spanish language. That's a forlorn task.
Yeah, let me confirm this, Gavin. So when I ran this inbound contact center, we had 15 languages, and this was really important. So especially when you have queues, you have the setup, so you have the options to separate the emails. Then this is super important. Instead of someone who just sorts the emails to this and there, you have an automation for that. This is crucial.
Excellent. A voice from the field there. Thank you, Elemér. So let's now turn to key performance indicators, KPIs. So everything, and I'm exaggerating, but we practically measure everything in the contact center. A little bit of exaggeration there, but you get the idea. It's a highly measured environment, and we're going to use those metrics to create, for example, dashboards. Now, these dashboards are a visually appealing way of showing that information, displaying that information for the parties that might consume it, the agents, the supervisors, management, lots of people consuming the data from those dashboards. And those dashboards can quickly show you anomalies, so things that are unusual, or things that are just, you quickly understand something's not quite right, or why is it this like that, or show you trends within the contact center. That's a way to see that. And supervisors will want to use that, and supervisors will then want the why is that thing changing. So the supervisor themselves will want to dig into the detail. So you also have to provide those tools. So a contact center provides you that ability to get access to the raw data, maybe to import it into some tools, and supervisors to find the root cause of things. These metrics are going to provide you with provable indicators of the contact center performance. It's highly measured, and you'll see in a moment it can be measured even in specific for your industry. And what does that mean? That means that you can make changes to the contact center, adjustments, improvements to the contact center, and you can go to your senior management or your board and you can prove these are the changes. This is where we invested. This is what we did. This is the changes. You have all the metrics there to prove those particular things. You may also wish to create custom KPIs, and lots of vendors in the industry can do this. So you might want to create custom key performance indicators that are specific for your industry or your vertical, because lots of KPIs are built into the solution, but it may well be that you need to tweak that slightly just to get it right, just to hit the nail on the head for a metric that matters the most for your particular industry. And the final point I'd like to make on this particular graphic is the integration into business intelligence. So you can take some of this metric information and you can import it into some business intelligence tools, like, for example, like Google Looker or Microsoft BI, or other tools are available as well, but something like that. And then you can combine that type of contact center information, that intelligence, combine it with your broader business intelligence, other business applications, things that are broader across your whole organization. And then you can fit your contact center space into the broader business. So over to you, Elemér.
Yes, thank you. And actually, the last part about really a sign that you should switch your contact center application. It's there can be challenges if your system doesn't support remote work. If you are here from the beginning, then yeah, we had this with Gavin that one of us is in the office and one of us works remotely at the moment, because LinkedIn Live actually supports the activity remotely. So currently I'm working remotely, and if you cannot offer this for your agent and supervisors, then obviously it leads to kind of limitations. What I mean, it's a lack of flexibility then, because it's inability to offer agents to work from different locations. And as already discussed, it can lead to operational disruptions. Also, it limits your talent pool, and employee satisfaction decrease if you cannot offer them remote activity. Studies, survey data also shows that it was in a blog post recently that 96% of agents they want some kind of form of remote work. And if we talk about employees, it's a modern employee expectation and preference that you should offer. And it also attracts you as a company, and you can retain your top talents using remote work. So at the end, it leads to less agent churn, definitely. And some best practices, if you have the options to work remotely and offer these options for your agents and supervisors, it's really important still to measure and monitor the performance. So again, you can define the KPIs for remote work specifics, so key performance indicators. Again, call handling time, customer satisfaction, FCR, first call resolution. And also, you can set up then a performance dashboards. And then via this, where it leads, and this is again super important when your team works remotely, that time by time you need to assign time for a project called performance review feedback sessions. Obviously, these days you can also do it with an AI, because if you have all the data, then an AI can analyze it for you. But if you still have quality managers, then they can do that and then get back to the agents. They can organize sessions, or they can just leave their evaluation comments and then maybe some change ideas, and then the agents can reach it in the same system in a specific status. It's also important that when you work remotely, you need to still provide coaching. So you need to have the agents online via different ways, like whispering to a conversation, even go to tutor mode where you can assist the agent, but the customer does not hear the supervisor, the administrator. And quality management. So this is really important, and you can do it with recorded conversations with all the channels across. So it's not you can also evaluate emails, and then you can give feedback based on that. So what is essential, again, that cloud solutions really inherently support remote work capabilities via accessibility. So cloud-based system can be reached from anywhere. Obviously, you need to take care of security. That's why we will share with you the security guide. So whitelisting, IPs, VPNs, and it needs to be easily scaled up and down based on your demands without any significant infrastructure changes. Security, again, that we are going to share, and closing thoughts. First closing thought is that with using such tools, you can be cost efficient. So you can reduce cost associated with on-prem infrastructure and maintenance.
Yes, so let's wrap up the session for today. Just a couple of slides here. So what does a better customer experience mean for your business? So if you can provably improve the customer experience, it will have a positive benefit in your business, I would feel. And delighted customers tend to buy more. And which point here would you care to pick out, Elemér?
Yeah, I love remote work options, so definitely you're losing out if you cannot implement. So this is something that is really important. And my other, if I can select, then it's integration. So integrating with business applications in a smooth way, also like using the channels smoothly in omni-channel way. Also, the backend system need to communicate. And the agents, they work in a one-stop shop, and
Excellent. Well, let's wrap this up now with the QR code for the contact center summary list. It's a one-pager. It gives you many different aspects to consider, a nice format, and has links to additional material if you're interested in some particular aspects. So please scan that QR code to gain access to that. Or like I said previously, if you have some difficulties, just write a comment and one of my colleagues will assist you. So we have a security checklist that we've created cross industry-wide, so generic industry-wide security checklist for the contact center, and then this contact center summary of points that you should be considering. So hopefully that's sufficient time for you to have scanned that. And finally, I would like to thank you for your time. If you have any questions or you'd like to discuss it further, I'm sure Elemér, and I certainly would myself, be delighted to have a chat with you. You can see the contact details there, so feel free to contact us. But with that, I'd just like to say thank you for your time and goodbye.
Yes, thank you, everybody, and hope to see you on our next sessions again. Goodbye.